Just Baseball Show, obviously, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, thanks for joining us on Sports Grid. We are brought to you by the fine folks at BetMGM, the sportsbook board in Vegas. I'm Jack McMullen. He is Aram Layton. And here's what we're doing for you this week, the final week of the MLB season. We are giving you the burning questions and possible answers for every team that has either clinched a postseason spot or teams that are trying to tie a bow on a postseason spot in this final week of the MLB season. So we'll talk about teams from the Dodgers and the Blue Jays and the Brewers and the Phillies, all the way down to the red-hot Cincinnati Reds and the scuffling New York Mets. This is going to be a fun one. The final week of the season, I was not anticipating to be this heavy in terms of October implications, but here we are, man. I know that you and Peter Apple just talked about it on the last episode of the Just Baseball Show, but that Mets-Nats series over the weekend encapsulated everything that I love about September baseball. A team so far out of it can screw up absolutely everything for a team that is totally in the hunt.
And that's the best part, right? There's nothing scarier than a team playing with nothing to lose. And I mean, that's exactly what the Nationals did. We talked a lot about the Mets off the top, and we talked about, just I think some of the themes there that there might be slight overlap, but I'll make sure I kind of direct us a little bit to different areas, because at the same time, though, you still got to talk about some of these same things, which is, I mean, that was a series where the Mets could have kind of put a lot of comfort into their fan base by just taking care of business and beating up on the Nats, and they didn't. That said, you got to give the Nats credit. I mean, they got outs. They got big hits when they needed them. Dalen Wiles is a stud. I'm glad it seems like he's avoided a more serious injury. I was really nervous when I saw him writhing there down the line. But he looks like a huge building block for them. And this is the fun part of the year where no one knows what the heck's going to happen. And I've never felt less convicted in what I think is going to happen than I do right now. Even our Marlins, man, you're calling games here down the stretch that still matter, right? They're not eliminated yet. And that's pretty cool going into the bank this week.
4 back with 6 to play. They got Sanchez, Luzardo, and Taijuan Walker staring them in the face at Citizens Bank Park, which is a little scary. But you know what? Fish fam, we're still alive and totally well right now. Again, 4 back with 6 to play. But I do want to start with the teams at the top. And I just want to go by okay, if they are going to run into issues over this final week, what would those issues be? Or is there a trend that you're watching before you get into games that are really going to matter in October? And I want to start with the Milwaukee Brewers here, because the Brewers have already clinched the National League Central. They're exploring the idea of Jacob Misiorowski throwing out of the bullpen for them. I guess that's the burning question for me. I don't really have any other questions about a team that has already kind of solidified their fate. Like, they're steamrolling towards that wild card series bye. They're going to be totally fine on that front. The question is top seed between them and Philadelphia. With Milwaukee, is it Misiorowski as a bullpen ace or actually part of the postseason rotation?
It's funny. So that was one of the things we touched on, and I'm actually interested to hear your thoughts on this too, because I know you were a little bit more tapped in than Peter in terms of what Misiorowski looked like out of the bullpen at the end of last year, because we were talking about that on the call up, right? So that was something I had mentioned, just as we were talking about what it looks like for them going into the postseason. I think there's an innings limit, and not even a hard fast limit, but just I think the innings marker that they're looking at and saying, he's already well past what we're used to seeing him throw. And last year we slowed him down a little bit for that reason, and now this year he's well past that. I also think you got to imagine what is the role that Misiorowski is most set up for success in. And, I look at Chase Burns right now, who's still trying to get comfortable throwing out of the bullpen. At least Misiorowski has the experience in doing it. Where I'm interested in, where I kind of want to present the question to you is, would you rather have the variance of Misiorowski as your 3 starter in the postseason, where he could go 6 innings of legitimate shutout, no-hit ball, but he also could get bounced in the second, or the more consistent, probably lower ceiling, higher floor of a Chad Patrick or a Quintana getting the ball in a game 3? I think Quintana should get the ball in game 3. It's more of a Chad Patrick conversation, maybe, where you kind of know what you're getting, but you may not have the guy that's going to put you on his back to win the game.
So I will say about that whole construction, I do feel like teams should go with a 3-man rotation over a 4-man rotation in the postseason.
Especially when you got Freddie Peralta at the top, the way he's throwing.
Right, exactly. So the way that these like series are constructed by off days and everything, I mean, you can get away with a 3-man rotation there if you feel comfortable with everybody and where they're at in October. I know Quinn Priester, this is like kind of his first elongated look in the major leagues, but I'm not worried about any sort of innings limit with him. I'm not worried about Freddie Peralta. I'm not worried about Jose Quintana. So if you can line Freddie up for a game 1 and game 4 start, and you can line Priester up for a game 2 and game 5 start in a DS, and then you get to a CS and you could possibly have Peralta throw 147, you should absolutely do that. So for me, I firmly lean Mizorowski out of the bullpen, and I think you can go Freddie game 1, Priester game 2, Quintana game 3. I almost want to wipe the hard drive for Mizorowski, and I want to say, hey man, you've got some of the most comical stuff that we've ever seen on a pitcher's mound. Just throw that over the heart of the plate and dare people to beat you. And you say, oh, well, why can't he do that for 5 innings in a starting capacity? It's just different. I mean, you ask somebody to get 6 outs or 9 outs, it's just different than saying, hey, go face the first 18 hitters of the game.
And I know he's holding his velocity, but you've got to imagine he's feeling it a little bit, at the end of this year here, having been 30 innings north of what he was at last year. And last year, they tapered him down over the last month and a half in that relief role. So he really wasn't starting nearly like he is at this pace. And the last thing I'll mention on Mizorowski is out of the bullpen in AAA last year, this guy held opponents to an 0.85 batting average in 12 appearances. Like, he was unhittable out of the pen. So if you're getting him at the best version of himself, even if it is at a 1 or 2 inning spurt, that's better than the 5 innings of 4-run ball, he might give you. So I think, the ceiling might be a little bit lower, but I think with the Brewers, they don't need that guy that can carry you in the third game. They just need quality starts, and they're going to win a lot of games. So you might as well bolster that bullpen further. I'm in on it too, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Mizorowski to, as you mentioned, kind of wipe that hard drive. It's a lot easier to just let your stuff eat when you can go higher effort 1 inning and you're not feeling the fatigue as much as he's probably feeling as he's winding the season down.
Surely. And if you add that iron to the fire of the Brewer bullpen, you've got a lot of guys throwing really hard, especially with Trevor McGill, his status being like up in the air, uncertain. It just seems like pessimistic at this point with Trevor McGill. Having Mizorowski in there is a heck of a lot better. This one's going to be quick. Philadelphia, my burning question: how does Trey Turner look when he returns tentatively Friday? It sounds like he's going to face live pitching on Tuesday and Wednesday in kind of simulated settings and bullpen settings. And then Turner should come back into the fold for the final weekend of the regular season as a ramp up for likely the DS. I feel like they're headed towards that first round bye. I don't even know if the Dodgers can catch him right now. But Turner is just my only burning question about Philadelphia. Obviously, no Wheeler hurts, but that's kind of tried and true. We know that. I'm curious to see what Trey Turner looks like the final week.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And then mine was also just, who gets the ball in game 3 of a postseason series? I know you got to get there and all that good stuff, but yeah, I'm just fascinated by that because, or just more in general, what does the postseason rotation look like? We just talked about on the last episode, Ranger Suarez has just been so inconsistent over the last couple months where you have stretches where he's one of the most dominant arms in the game and you have stretches where he really gets roughed up. Last time out, got roughed up. Nola, kind of the same story where it's just inconsistency there. Sanchez is your guy. Luzardo, now I think the way he's throwing probably has another spot in that rotation in the postseason, might even get the second game. Then what is it looking like? That's where I assume you're rolling with Suarez.
Of course.
But what if Nola throws really well here in his final start and Suarez struggles again? I'm just fat. And then Walker Buehler was great in long relief. What's his role look like? I'm just very interested in how this all maps out because your tried and true Sharpied in guy at the top is, he's out for the postseason.
I know. I honestly view Suarez as the game 3 starter, and I don't think twice about it. That guy has earned the right to do that over the course of this year. But you could also make that same exact case for Nola. I understand that both those guys should be on a pretty short leash, but heck, Luzardo is going to be on a short leash as well.
Yes.
And that's where Buehler can come in and you can kind of unleash the long man. Taijuan Walker in a long man type scenario could be good to bridge the gap to the high octane back end of the bullpen for Philadelphia. So Philly, it's kind of a clear cut line of questioning over the final week of the season, but we'll get to more NL teams in a moment on the Just Baseball Show. Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton on the Just Baseball Show here, wherever you are listening to your podcast. Thanks for joining us on YouTube, or thanks for joining us on Sports Grid. We just talked about the burning questions for the Milwaukee Brewers and the Philadelphia Phillies entering the final week of the regular season. I want to pivot to the LA Dodgers here, and this is where things get murkier. The Brewers, we aligned on the whole Mizorowski thing. You mentioned the Game 3 starter for Philly. I mentioned Trey Turner, who's set to return from injury. It sounds like on Friday. The Dodgers, I have more questions about entering the final week. And for me, the biggest one is which bullpen arm is going to be your hottest hand going into the postseason. I feel good about everybody in the rotation that you could possibly throw. And they're going to have to play a wild card series. It seems like Milwaukee and Philly are locked into that first round bye area. So now all of a sudden you've got the Dodgers hosting the last wild card team in the National League. It's going to be the sputtering Mets, the Red Hot Reds, or somebody else. Maybe a mystery team falls in there again. The Miami Marlins, 4 out with 6 to play. But the Dodgers got to host somebody. And obviously Yamamoto can give them 7 innings of 1 run or shutout baseball in the postseason. After that, you wonder how many innings you're going to get from a Snell or a Glasnow, anybody like that. And for me, I look at what this bullpen has done in the month of September, and it makes me really darn nervous. I know Jack Dreyer has been great. How much do you trust a Jack Dreyer in the bullpen? I know Vesia has been great. Obviously, Vesia can only throw so much. I look at guys like Blake Trinan, who was their postseason ace last year. In 9 appearances in the month of September, Trinan has thrown 7 innings. He's walked 9 and has allowed 11 runs. Kirby Yates, in 7 innings, has walked 4 and has allowed 6 runs. Michael Kopech, 6 appearances in September, 4 innings, 9 walks. These guys are spraying the ball right now in the pen. I don't know who I have confidence in, to be totally honest with you.
Well, and Kopech just went back to the IL, and it's retroactive to the 18th, so he might not even be available for them to start the postseason. I'm very interested to see what that timeline looks like. Right? We were talking about this on the weekend roundup. Like, Peter asked, like, who do you trust right now in the bullpen? And the 2 guys that you should trust the most in Tanner Scott and Blake Trinan, in varying degrees, I don't trust right now. It's Vesia, it's Dreyer, and those are guys, especially Dreyer. I mean, I don't know, again, how much you can rely on a guy like that. So I think the burning question really is, who do you trust in the bullpen as you go into the postseason? And it is going to be the hot hand, as you alluded to, and I'm kind of waiting to see what other hands could potentially get hot. And I think you got to circle. I think Trinan looks a lot further off than Scott does. I think you got to circle Scott and say, time to get hot here, man, and time to earn that contract.
You paid him to get hot at this time, and you paid him to get out the best lefties and the best righties in any opposing lineup. The issue with Tanner Scott has always lied within command issues, right? Like it's spraying, and he's walked some guys this month. He's walked some guys overall this year, but it seems like he's getting clipped much more than he really ever has. And I just don't really understand why. Do you have some sort of theory on that or no?
The ball flies more there at home. That's the only thing I can think of, though. But at the end of the day, like, it just wasn't as much of an issue for him. I think it's just location, and he's a guy that it's good carry fastball. He likes to elevate it, and guys are just kind of ambushing it now and selling out for it. But I wish I had a more concrete theory on it. It just seems like, he's getting clipped. It does seem like, for the most part, it is happening at home. But even when you look at the home road splits, I don't feel like they're as dramatic as you'd expect. It's a 775 OPS allowed at home, and it's a 754 OPS allowed on the road. I will say 7 of the 11 homers are at home, but still, it's been bizarre because it hasn't really been something that seems like it's been a huge issue for him in the past.
I know. Offensively, my one big question: how is Will Smith's hand? It's a hairline fracture. They remain hopeful that he's ready for the start of postseason play. Hopeful for the start of postseason play is as vague as you could possibly get. Is Ben Rortvedt catching in a wild card series for you? That's scary for me.
It's a big drop off. You go from Will Smith to Rortvedt and a rookie rushing. That's That's a big gap. So, I mean, that's as big of a question as it comes. You still have confidence that the offense can continue to do what it does, but Will Smith has been as integral of a part of that offense as just about anybody.
Yeah. Pivoting to the teams that look like they are securing wildcard berths, one team has already secured a wildcard berth, the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have lost 4 in a row as we record here. They're 20 games over 500 at 88-68, but they just got swept in Cincinnati. They lost 1-0 on Sunday. That was a doozy of a weekend. It was one that shot Cincinnati with adrenaline, the entire city, and that place is alive right now. And it's so much fun to watch Reds baseball matter in the final week of the month of September. And this is, maybe the Terry Francona effect. Maybe it's just the pitching getting scorching hot, and maybe it's the bats coming through when they need to most. But the Chicago Cubs, I guess I worry about the offensive chemistry in this final week of the season. How do you build a good vibe, going into October? PCA needs to get going. I mean, this has been as disappointing as anybody after the All-Star break in Major League Baseball.
I mean, that's my question. It's just, what PCA are you getting? And then, is Kyle Tucker going to get back? I mean, this calf thing is weird. It's not getting better. They really need him back. Like, those are the two for me that are as important as can be. And honestly, I think Tucker might be the bigger question, because I'm starting to just lose confidence that PCA is just going to snap back around. And I know Peter was saying, like, PCA may shine brightest when the lights are on, and I believe that. But also, it's just a really tough game, and when you've been this bad for this long, it is kind of hard to just snap out of it. So I think the biggest question for me is, can you get Kyle Tucker back? Because I think there's a little question that once you get him back, he's going to be one of, if not the best bat in your lineup, even if he's not 100% himself. But I think if he is 100% himself, he's by far the best bat in their lineup. And I think that's saying a lot too, because Bush has been great. And, several other guys have been putting up good offensive numbers, but can that Tucker calf get better is really, I think, the number one thing I just keep looking at, because this team looks totally different without him.
Real quick, San Diego is very, very close to locking in the second wild card spot. What jumps out to you about San Diego? I really don't have much. I feel like I know who they are going into October.
Can they keep Michael King on the mound? Like, if they have a healthy Michael King, I feel a lot better about this team. And that really is the thing that I circle when I look at the playoff rotation.
They need somebody at the front of that rotation, and King is absolutely the guy at the front of the rotation. I don't care if he's made 25 starts this year. I don't care if he's made 5 starts this year. Michael King is the most consistent arm that the San Diego Padres have. He's far more consistent than Cease, and everybody else is just kind of like a box of chocolates. How can you get to that super pen in the month of October? We'll wrap up with the National League and the guys that are the teams in the postseason picture in a moment. But before that, a quick break right here on the Just Baseball Show. Tying a bow on the National League contender conversation. Jack McMullen, Aram Layton, Just Baseball Show, wherever you get your podcasts, and on Sports Grid. We just talked about the Padres real quick and Michael King. We also talked about the Cubs and the Dodgers. So now I want to take us to this whole clump of characters, including the Cincinnati Reds, the New York Mets, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Francisco Giants, and if we have time in this rapid fire segment, the Miami Marlins. You're fighting fish. I want to start with Cincinnati, who actually holds on to the tiebreaker right now. If the postseason ended on Monday morning, the Cincinnati Reds would be in the postseason over the New York Mets. The Reds are hot. Again, they just swept the Cubs in Cincinnati over the weekend. They've won 5 in a row. They're 4 games over 500 at 80-76. The pitching has been unbelievable to watch. They need a superstar to step up. Dave Roberts said beautifully in a conversation with Bob Costas I saw over the weekend, the postseason is about people. It's about players. And they need their superstar to be better than he is right now. Elly De La Cruz, don't look now, but over the last 2-3 months has been pretty darn disappointing for Cincinnati. I want to see Elly De La Cruz even just start the lighter. Like, let's just get a spark out of the lighter here so I know that you can catch fire once October rolls around.
Yeah, because I think it's unrealistic to say, oh, well, we need the entire offense to be about 10, 15% better, right? And I think Steer has come alive. I think that's been really encouraging to see. I think you've seen Tyler Stevenson come up with some big swings, and like these are all complementary guys. There's one guy on this team that has the potential to take over a series or take over, a ball game in a way that a baseball player can, which is very difficult to do in general. And it's Elly De La Cruz, right? With the power, with the speed, with all the different things that he can do. And at a 107 WRC plus on the season, right? A 772 OPS, it's just not good enough to propel a team that has had some offensive challenges, to propel a team that added at the deadline by getting a glove first third baseman, right? Like, and that addition hasn't been bad. He's been solid for them in Ke'Bryan Hayes. But I think looking at it from that perspective, who is the guy that can ignite this offense? It's Elly De La Cruz. So I think that's the dude you got to circle. And then beyond that, I got all the faith in the world in the rotation. My other burning question is, what does Chase Burns, the reliever, look like? And can he actually be a late inning weapon for them? Right now, it seems like they're just trying to get his feet wet in there. He hasn't fully looked comfortable in relief yet, but he also is coming off of a long layoff. So that could be more of the issue. But if Burns can kind of supplant Connor Phillips as your setup guy right now, I think that would make me feel a lot better. Connor Phillips, and okay, he's looked good. That's your sixth inning guy as a guy that's made some progress this year. Great. But I would love to see Chase Burns being able to lock it down in the seventh and eighth innings.
We're beating a dead horse with the New York Mets, but my question, can you pitch your way into October? They're not right now. They are simply not. Soto is doing everything in his power. Lindor is doing everything in his power to will them to October, but the pitching is their Achilles heel right now. I have so many questions as it pertains to their pitching. They need like literally 3 more good starts, and they're probably there.
Yeah, I think that's the clear angle of this thing. And then the other would just be who's going to step up on the back half of that lineup. You mentioned Lindor, you mentioned Soto, Alonso's doing his job. Who else? Who's going to step up here? Vientos was great, when the second half started. Now, not so much. McNeil's been bad in September. Beatty's been a little bit here and there. Mullins has not been good since they acquired him. Who's going to step up? And I think that's where I just keep looking at. Someone needs to take the pressure off of these guys at the top, because right now you can work around these guys at the top and then just know you can attack the bottom of the lineup right now. And you can't have a pitching staff, especially a good one, feeling like that.
Arizona all of a sudden has entered the conversation again, and they are more than capable of making up a game deficit in the final week of the season. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're 1 game back of the Reds and the New York Mets entering play on Monday. What's your burning question about Arizona in the final week of the season?
Who the heck is going to close these games out? I honestly am at the point where I think the rotation can do a good enough job. Zach Gallen's back. Ryan Nelson is good. Erod and Fott will be serviceable enough, I think, in a 3 or 4 spot, especially with the way Fott threw last time out. If that's how you lose, that's how you lose. But that bullpen, man, I don't know. Their save situation guy, Jake Woodford, was just DFA'd. So now they bring up, Philip Abner, and they bring up Austin Pope, and it's like Nabil Krismat's now in the bowl. They're trying anything, and hopefully something works. But that's the question right now. It's just who is going to be able to get the important outs for them in this last week.
Did I see north of 10 guys have logged a save for the Arizona Diamondbacks this year? I think that is the case. They've had 10 guys log a save for them, or more than 10. Might have been 12 or 13, but that is an unbelievable number. Nabil Krismat, I thought that guy was done 3 years ago. All of a sudden, he resurfaces and he's wearing a nasal strip when closing out games for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And he's been good.
Unbelievable. I know he's been good. It is crazy that Arizona has re-entered the chat, but man, they always had this in the holster, and now it's firing entering the final week of the season. We will go rapid fire at the outset of the next segment here with the rest of the National League teams before we get to the top of the American League, but a quick break. Just Baseball Show, Jack McMullen, Aram Layton. We've got a couple more teams that we do want to talk about, the teams that are not mathematically eliminated from postseason play in the National League before we get to the American League. We'll go rapid fire through them. We just talked Arizona, Cincinnati, and the Mets. San Francisco, what you got on them? They're 3 back entering play on Monday. These are the unlikely, but if they are going to make this miracle run, what is your question?
Yeah, I think with them, it's just what's it going to look like. I don't know if I have a specific question. That their key guys are going to throw pretty well. Logan Webb has been awesome for them. Trevor McDonald turned in a good one the other day.
Yeah.
It's just, can this offense get going again and spark up? And then, what does Bryce Eldridge maybe look like down the final week here as it tries to help this team? Tough spot to put the kid in, and it's been a battle for him. But I think that's probably my biggest thing is, can Eldridge, put together some good games here in the final week?
So my thing, Verlander has 2 more starts this regular season. How does Justin Verlander look in his final 2 starts? Can it happen? But again, a lot needs to go right externally for the Giants to get in. Same with the Miami Marlins. Edward Cabrera is the probable starter in Philadelphia on Tuesday. That's the one for me. Cabby is set to make 2 starts. How does Cabby look off of an elbow issue?
I think that's got to be the biggest one. You thought maybe the season, I thought they probably wouldn't bring him back. So that must mean, things are encouraging overall. Yeah. How does he look? Will we get one more weather start?
Yeah, we'll get one more weather start.
One more weather start. So both of those guys, just missing some time. Weather's missing way more. What do they look like at the end of the season? And then, just can the Marlins stay hot and just keep making this thing interesting? I think it's the other part of it.
St. Louis also 4 back with 6 to play here. St. Louis, I don't know. I guess how many more at bats does Nolan Arenado have in a Cardinals uniform? They seem a little dead in the water. It's like, okay, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, why don't they call up JJ Weatherholt for a little cup of coffee? I think that's probably the other side of it for me. But yeah, it's just the end of Arenado there, and I mean, I'd like to see Sajazi finish the year strong. It's kind of had a good start, slowed down some. That's all I can really look at. And then Jordan Walker, I mean, he needs the season to end. Yeah,
I know. We'll get to the top of the American League in a moment, but great news from our friends at Lids. Fill us in on that.
Yeah, well, Lids has trading cards now, because we've been telling you about that a bunch over the last month. And they had it for Topps Chrome, but now we're back to tell you that they've got Bowman Chrome as an exclusive retailer for the release today on September 23rd. As you're listening to this, Lids is your exclusive in-store destination for Bowman Chrome hobby boxes, with 101 Lids hobby shops receiving them on September 23rd. You'll pay retail price for these boxes at Lids versus paying marked up prices at secondhand shops or missing out on pre-sales. Just like the Topps Chrome release, where we had a live break and autograph signing with Griffin Conine, Marlins outfielder, right here in Boca Raton, we'll have another live box opening and meet and greet with a player at the Lids in Arizona at the Arizona Fall Week. So stay tuned. We'll have a lot more specific information on that, working on who that player may be. Could be some fun stuff in the works there. But the Bowman Chrome set, I'm going to be breaking it down. I already just did, actually, on Sports Card CEO, our official collectibles podcast on Just Baseball. And we'll be doing more content, kind of breaking down some of the exciting prospects on there. But it has a lot of the most exciting young stars and prospects in baseball, with the first Bowmans and top IFA signings. And if you text baseball, just BASEBALL, to the number 20917, you'll receive 20% off your next headwear or apparel purchase. That's BASEBALL to 20917. If you go to Lids, you'll get 20% off your next headwear or apparel purchase. This discount will get you 20% off of upcoming headwear releases, like the fall color pack, which I think we're going to get something in there soon. So I'll be able to show that off for you guys, and any of your postseason gear for October. So be sure to check that out. Let me know what you're chasing in Bowman Chrome. We'll be talking more about that. I know we're doing a break in the Discord soon as well. And stay tuned for updates on our meet and greet that we will have in the Arizona Fall Week.
Can you spell baseball for me one more time?
BASEBALL.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then that number real quick.
Oh, the number? You need the number one more time?
No, I'm okay. I just wanted to spell baseball.
Just minimized. But did I spell baseball wrong once in the read?
No. You were good. It's like, it's just funny. It's like, all you got to do is text baseball, and then you got to remind people how to spell baseball. That's one of my favorite parts of this.
Well, I knew you enjoyed being on the other side of this, because you're reading ads all the freaking time.
It was awesome. Yeah. It's like, hey, learn more at baseball. BASEBALL. Okay, let's get to the top of the American League here real quick. The only team in the American League to secure a postseason spot entering play on Monday officially is the Toronto Blue Jays. They were the quickest to 90 wins. They're 90-66 entering play on Tuesday. The Toronto Blue Jays, I have, I guess, one question, and it's their shortstop, who is leading Major League Baseball in base hits. Bo Bichette has been on the shelf since September 9th with a knee sprain. He was asked while the Blue Jays were celebrating clinching a postseason spot how he's feeling. He said, quote, getting better every day. It's like, okay. Vague, but I wonder how Bichette feels, and I would love to see Bo Bichette appear for the Toronto Blue Jays in the DS.
Yeah, that's number one question. I think there's no doubt in that. And then for me, it's how do you plan to use Trey Savage? I'm just interested in that because this bullpen, I could just beat a dead horse and say, well, who's going to close these games out? I think you have to fall on the Hoffman sword. Like that's just it is what it is. Whether it's the 9th or the 8th, maybe you feel better about the pocket for Sir Anthony Dominguez. I wouldn't. He walks 5 per 9 as well. I think you got to fall on the Jeff Hoffman sword. So I think it's just where is Savage working in long relief? Does he end up maybe getting a start some way or another? Do they trust him a little bit more in shorter spurt leverage? Like, I'm just fascinated to see what their plan is with Trey Savage, where he's going to make like one more start, and then they got to figure out, what they think is the best use of him.
It seems like they're comfortable using him in 2-3 inning relief spurts, which makes a lot of sense. The other one that I have a question about is Jose Barrios in the bullpen now. Barrios pivots to the pen. John Schneider spoke very highly of how Barrios took that. That's a pro on a $170 million contract extension. And Jose
He wasn't even thrown that bad this year, right? Like it's a 4.06 ERA.
You know what it is? He's toughing it out right now. His stuff is not awesome, but he is still thrown to an okay season for his standards and like a good season by most standards. But I am interested to see if Barrios can tick up a little bit in the bullpen, and then how do you use your Savage? So those are my questions there too. I guess we'll go to this division leader right now, the Detroit Tigers, and all of a sudden the Cleveland Guardians can catch the Detroit Tigers. Cleveland is a game back in the division. Cleveland's won 9 of their last 10. Detroit's lost 6 in a row. They've lost 9 of their last 10. Do you have a pulse? Like, that's my question about the Detroit Tigers right now. What has happened to them?
We can talk about the offense. We can talk about a lot of different things. My question, too, is who's going to step up and throw alongside Tarek Skubal? It's crazy where you're looking at Jack Flaherty with a 4.6 ERA. Casey Mize has a 3.91, and that's probably the guy that is going to get game 2, right? They just DFA'd Charlie Morton. I just can't believe how top-heavy this rotation has become. And, some injuries, some unfortunate circumstance, but I think that's part of the reason why they should have went out. Could you imagine if they just had a Merrill Kelly in this fold here? Like, dude, the Rangers went out and got Merrill Kelly. And look where they're at now. Like, they rolled the dice and gave up a prospect haul that they didn't feel like was going to hurt them that much. Why couldn't the Tigers? I want to know who's going to give them a decent shot in game 2. And is it Casey Mize right now that gets the ball game 2? Is it Jack Flaherty? I don't know. I don't know who I trust more. I think it's Mize. It's weird.
It's Mize because he was an all-star this year, but like you brought Flaherty back. I understand why they were reluctant. I don't agree with it, but I understand because Mize was a heck of a lot better before the break than he has been after the break. Flaherty, he's been okay all year long, but he's taken a downturn after the All-Star break. Like
you lost Olsen, but you lost Olsen before the deadline.
I know. Yeah, it's a bizarre situation to me, and I really don't know how the Tigers are gonna get through this. They're in the postseason. The question is, do they maintain this AL Central lead? I just don't know. I have a lot of questions about that.
Big series coming up.
Yeah, huge series coming up. And based on how we enter this week, I really don't feel comfortable. We got about 20 seconds. We're going to talk about Cleveland in a moment. Who wins the American League Central?
I love that you put it on like with the clock ticking here. I'll take the hot team. I'll take the hot team. I think the Guardians against all odds.
We're going to talk about that hot team in a moment. We will be right back on the Just Baseball Show. Against all odds, we're talking about the Cleveland Guardians right now. Jack McMullen, Arm Layton on the Just Baseball Show. Hottest team in baseball right now, or one of the hottest teams in baseball. The Miami Marlins are hotter than a match at the moment, but the Cleveland Guardians are the hottest team in the American League. The Detroit Tigers are the coldest team in the American League. We just talked about the Tigers and where our questions lie. Cleveland, again, sits a game back in the division right now. And oh, by the way, they're tied with Houston for the final wild card spot. It is amazing to me that one of Boston, Cleveland, Houston, or Detroit will not be dancing in October. And I hope Cleveland is not the team left out because they have willed their way into the conversation again. Entering play on Tuesday, they are 84-72. Just amazing stuff from the Cleveland Guardians. They have been ridiculously good. I wish I could shout out someone other than Jose Ramirez. I can, but that guy deserves all the flowers. He is one of the best players that we've had in this generation. I'm going to be so excited when he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Oh, by the way, really good complimentary pieces in Stephen Kwan and others. Manzardo is swinging a little bit right now. I'm just a huge fan of what guard ball has going on. In terms of questions, I don't know what I have. Like, can you maintain this out-of-body experience that you're having?
Yeah, I want to ask, like, who's the next guy you fear, right? Because Kwan's been great of late, back to the table setter. Ramirez is the masher. And then I think the next best power bat you've got is clearly Kyle Manzardo right now. But it doesn't really matter because we saw last year that they're just going to deploy guys in situations for success. Lefty that you think Giancarlo Noel can go get, he's going to pinch hit. If it's a righty, it'll maybe be a Schneemann start. I don't know. But it still should be the question that I'm going to ask is just who's going to be that other guy that complements this group? Valera's been swinging it since he got up there. That's been fun to see. Bo Naylor has been having one of the best stretches of his big league career. So we know the guys at the top. I think Kwan, Ramirez, and Manzardo are clearly just, they're going to perform. I mean, one is a superstar. The other two at least are going to carry their weight. Is anybody else going to be better than a platoon option? And I think that's my big question.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I also don't have a question about the rotation. Actually, I do. Who do you leave out? If you're going to go with the three-man rotation, who do you leave out? Joey Cantillo has been throwing out of his freaking mind. I love watching this guy pitch. Oh, by the way, Tanner Bybee has worked 21 2/3 of 3-run baseball, punching out 21 and walking 3 this month. Cantillo in 4 starts in September, in 23 1/3 has allowed 3 runs. It's a 1.16 ERA. Gavin Williams, 18 innings of 3-run ball. And then Logan Allen through 3 starts in September has an ERA at 2. The bullpen's been awesome, but the rotation has been the best in baseball this month. I love watching them pitch. I feel like you leave Logan Allen out right now.
Who, by the way, just went 8 shutty last time out. But yes.
Dude, it's impossible to say you can leave anybody out right now.
Exactly. And that's why I think they're in a really good spot. And oh, by the way, they lost Ortiz, who was a key rotation piece in Class A, who was one of the best closers in baseball. So this team is just incredible.
Well, let's talk about the Seattle Mariners real quick. These guys are so hot as well. The Seattle Mariners won 4 in a row. They've taken 9 of their last 10 games. I was listening to a clip that TJ Mathewson and Lyle Goldstein put out. Our guys at the Marine Layer podcast do a great job covering the Mariners. And they said that was like a flawless series. They played a perfect series. They didn't trail once over the weekend. Seattle didn't. Seattle looks the part right now. My question is, can Cal Raleigh win the American League MVP? Because the odds on BetMGM would seem to indicate that this thing is really, really tight.
Really?
Yes.
What are the odds? Have you seen? Do you have it in front of you?
I think Raleigh's plus 100 right now.
What?
And I think Judge is minus 145.
Holy crap. I didn't realize it got that close again.
Yeah. I mean, Cal just set the Mariners record. He set the switch hitting record.
Well, if they win the division, the narrative side really comes together too.
100%.
Winning that division and then all the accolades. But then I was just looking at Judge. He's back up to a 199 WRC plus.
Yeah.
Holy crap. So my other question, I think, with this team, would have been Julio. Julio's been playing like a superstar again. So Gino's heating back up again. Randy in the playoffs. So I don't really have any questions offensively. You could say, who's going to get that ball game 3? I think that's an interesting question, but I think now that Kirby's throwing the way that he is, it's him. There's not really a specific thing that jumps out to me with this ball club right now. I don't know if there's a specific burning question other than, can Julio kind of have his iconic moment here finally? And I say finally, like he's not 24 4 years old, but get a chance here in a longer postseason series to really, make his mark. I think this could be the beginning of that.
Yeah, I guess the question would be Brian Wu, right? It's pec
Yeah.
tightness, like he's hoping to stay off. So, like, is Wu healthy and then sustainable? Question mark. Like, is this hot stretch, good to run through the tape and win this division? They're starting to separate, it seems, from the Houston Astros.
Yep.
So, let's talk about Houston real quick. The Houston Astros right now hold on to a share of the final wildcard spot. Houston, I think Cleveland does have the tie break over Houston, but the Astros lost 3 in a row. They're 84-72, and they've won 5 of their last 10 games. Kind of seems like they're stagnating after that Rangers sweep that they had. Houston, I don't know, like they seem a little flatliney right now. I don't know if that's a real word, but
it's definitely not.
I guess my question is, are you flatlining?
Yeah, that, and who's your third best arm? Is it Jason Alexander or is it Christian Javier? And that's a crazy question. I think you side with Javier given what he's done, but up until that last outing, Jason Alexander had been kind of a dude for them, and he got absolutely blitzed. So do you now have no trust in Jason Alexander? Would he be getting the ball in a presumptive game 4? And then the other is just, are you going to get Yordan Alvarez back this season? I'm starting to become concerned that Yordan just may never be able to stay healthy at all, because these injuries couldn't have been more different. It's like you slipped on home plate, and it's not, some guys slip and it's an ankle sprain and they're out for a couple weeks. Yordan slips, it's an ankle sprain, it's catastrophic. Like it's a high ankle sprain. Like it's a really bad one, and they think he might be out for potentially the rest of the year. Like it's not ruled out. It's like that to me is just, I'm starting to lose any faith that he's just capable of staying healthy. But in the shorter term, can they get Yordan back this year? Because if they don't, I don't like their chances.
And it was hand inflammation that kept him out for 3-4 months. Like it was just, the hand feels weird. We're going to shut it down. He's taking light swings at our spring training complex. We'll get him going again.
The Astros are brutal with the injuries, though, man. It was the same thing with Tucker. It was like a shin bruise until it was a shin fracture. And so we just did the call-up episode. Every single minor leaguer, you're not even getting the region of the body disclosed.
Man, it's brutal. We're going to tie a bow with the American League East in a moment. We'll be back. All right, tying a bow on the Just Baseball show here on Sports Grid and wherever you get your podcast. Jack McMullen, Aram Layton. We were just talking about the Houston Astros. We were a little bit more pessimistic than I think we initially anticipated. But we do want to wrap with the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, the 2 teams in the AL that we have yet to talk about. Unfortunately, we're not talking about the Texas Rangers. They were swept over the weekend, and the Rangers are effectively done in terms of postseason contention. I want to start with the Boston Red Sox. This one's actually really clear for me. How do you utilize Tolle and Connolly early? Peyton Tolle has come out of the bullpen. Connolly early has looked really good over the course of his first 3 starts in Major League Baseball. How big of a role are they playing in the postseason? I've got a lot of confidence that the Boston Red Sox are in the dance. Obviously, it's not solidified just yet. It's going to come down to the final weekend. But I want to see how those guys perform over the final week and then how they're used in October.
It's funny because like I was really encouraged by Connolly Early's last start because he was bad in the first, command issues, locked back in and gave them 4 innings, and the next 3 were relatively clean. So I really do like Early as the starter there, and I think Tolle as a reliever can be a rocket ship. And then of course they're going to move him back to the rotation next year, but I think in that role now could be really successful. I have a little question about the pitching. Even Kyle Harrison popping up and having a nice first big league start for the Red Sox was great. My biggest concern with them, you just got Willier back. Great. He's got to get going quickly now, because if he doesn't, outside of Jarren Duran, Alex Bregman, and Trevor Story at the top of this lineup, who do you fear? Not only fear, who do you feel like is going to give you a decent shot at above average production down the stretch here? They've got Yoshida in the cleanup spot, and he had a great series. But Romy Gonzalez, I love in platoon matchups. Nathaniel Lau, like that first week was fun. It just hasn't been there. Narvaez has hit a wall. Rafaela has been PCA, but the American League version. I don't know who I trust in that grouping, if anybody right now.
I don't think I trust anyone, but again, like it's about people when you get there. And you just wonder, like, can the big boppers take you all the way home? And I feel like the answer for the Boston Red Sox is probably no, because there's almost always like this complimentary person that steps up out of nowhere, but like it's not really out of nowhere because you know that guy can do it. Again, like calling back to this Dave Roberts, Bob Costas conversation over the weekend, like Kike Hernandez is somebody that everybody has supreme confidence in stepping up in the month of October because like they're willing to take on that moment. We just haven't seen it from anybody in the Boston Red Sox. Like anybody in that grouping that you mentioned, we have no idea what Wilyer Abreu can do in the postseason. We have no idea what Cedon can do in the postseason. I'd be curious to find out, but I feel like you can see that in trace amounts at the tail end of the regular season. So I feel like this is a huge week for that other clump that you're talking about here. For the New York Yankees, I feel like it's a kind of similar conversation. Aaron Judge has been a continuation of Aaron Judge in the month of September. He's been amazing. Judge through 19 games in September is hitting 344. He's walked 20 times in 19 games, and he's got an 1162 OPS. After that, Caballero has been amazing. Ben Rice has been really good. But then it falls off a little bit. Jazz Chisholm is striking out a lot this month. Trent Grisham is hitting a .188 through 17 games in September. Paul Goldschmidt is not slugging. He's got one extra base hit in 15 games. Giancarlo Stanton, he's cooling off a little bit. Who's going to step up for the New York Yankees offensively here? That's my thing.
Yeah, and at least with them, you have more optimism that there's just more upside with a lot of these guys, right? So I think that's where it's Stanton in the postseason, freaking Stanton, right? I mean, Jazz is still picking up big swings here, and he's had a really nice season. Bellinger's been great in a complimentary role. So I love Rosario off the bench, and Goldschmidt still against lefties is going to play well, and then Dominguez, like that's another guy that you're just throwing up off the bench here. So I like what they've got there overall. My burning question for them is, how does this bullpen shake out? Devin's been throwing better. Cruz is one of the most inconsistent relievers you got, but when he's good, he's really good. Doval, we've seen him be great. We've seen him have struggles this year. Who do you trust? How much do you trust him? Where do you deploy them? I'm very fascinated to see Boone, who people already go out of their way to blame.
Yeah.
It's going to be very easy if he mismanages this bullpen, and I don't envy him because I don't even know how I would manage this bullpen right now. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know how you go right here.
Hey, and it's
on the players. It's on the players. Stop blaming Boone for that shit.
I know. I'm totally with you. I will say Luke Weaver and Mark Leiter Jr., those are consistent faces, and Weaver has surrendered 13 hits in 6 innings this month, and Leiter has thrown 5 innings of 6-run ball this month. So really tough to see how that shakes out for the New York Yankees, but we shall see. That was your picture. Burning questions for really every team in contention going into the final week of the regular season. Thanks for joining us wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to rate and review 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Join our Discord. That is a phenomenal community. And thanks for watching on Sports Grid. We'll be back there to talk to you next week. But, of course, the Just Baseball Show will give you a fresh episode on Thursday. For Aram, I'm Jack. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.